These days, work is in trouble. We've outsourced most of our manufacturing to other countries, and with that, we sent away good jobs and our capability to make things. American Giant is a clothing company that's pushing back against this tide. They make all kinds of high-quality clothing and activewear, like sweatshirts, jeans, dresses, jackets, and so much more, right here in the USA. So when you buy American Giant, you create jobs in towns and cities across the country. And jobs bring pride, purpose. They stitch people together. If all that sounds good to you, visit American-Giant.com and get 20% off your first order when you use code STAPLE20 at checkout. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com with promo code STAPLE20.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability. ASU isn't just ahead of the curve. It's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Welcome to the Beautifully Broken podcast. I'm your host, Freddie Kimmel, and on the show we explore the survivor's journey, practitioners making a difference, and the therapeutic treatments and transformational technology that allow the body to heal itself. Witness the inspiration we gain by navigating the human experience with grace, humility, and a healthy dose of mistakes. Because part of being human is being beautifully broken. Through my healing journey, I've become increasingly aware of the way environmental toxicity affects my body. In the past, I've tested high for mercury, lead, cadmium, glyphosate, and mycotoxins from mold. I've experienced this as fatigue, full-body neuralgia, and brain fog. And after years of conventional treatments with limited results, I knew I needed to ask different questions if I wanted a different answer. Now, around this time, I was introduced to the Ion Cleanse by AMD at an integrative wellness symposium. I came across a technology where people put their feet in water, and over the next 20 to 30 minutes, ions were released into the water that assists the body's natural ability to release toxins. As you can imagine, I was very, very skeptical, but after my first session, I felt clear-headed, lighter, and a little bit high, and I was intrigued enough to invest in a unit. My N=1 experiment, I've watched levels of most environmental toxicity fall by almost 30% after 4 months. Now, this is a friend favorite, and as people come over to my home, they ask, Freddie, can I please do a foot bath? This is a heart-centered company, the support is amazing, and they offer a 60-day, 100% money-back guarantee. The Ion Cleanse by AMD is a safe, non-invasive way to help the body detox naturally, and it's trusted by the Beautifully Broken podcast. So reach out to Glenn at AMD today and see if it's a good fit for your home or your wellness clinic. Visit their site for more details at www.amajordifference.com. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Beautifully Broken podcast. I'm coming to you from Austin, Texas, and I have some beautiful people in front of me. I have Adrienne and Jason from the company Morozko Forge, and they make one of the coolest cold plunge devices I've ever seen in my life. And I had the chance to help my buddy Luke bring his into his brand new biohacking home that he's building and actually get in this incredible cold plunge, a very unique experience. And I thought it would be wonderful to connect with our team.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It was super great to meet you at Luke's over the weekend and see the technology that you're working with. Super great data, and to circle back and get caught up a few days later and really be able to dig in on what you're doing and hold this space and have this conversation.
I love it.
Yeah, we're very happy to be here, Freddie. These gadgets are rad.
So we'll get into the cold plunge, but full disclosure for everybody at home, when I travel and I go around the country, I bring my stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'll bring my AmpCoil. I'll bring this new system that I'm working with, HRV Vital Scan, that allows us to look at not only heart rate variability, a voltage of the body, but also predominant brainwave states. So using an ECG, and we can quantify biohacking tools, whether it's a cold plunge or the AmpCoil or whatever, breath work, and we can see what changes and shifts in the body. It's been one of the coolest things that I brought into the paradigm. And at Luke Story's house, we got to do some before and afters with the ice bath, and it was fascinating to see. But this morning we've sat down and we've taken Jason and Adrienne, who've been so gracious to allow me to be a citizen scientist on your bodies, and do some AmpCoil sessions and do a little sound therapy. And we've got to see some of the shifts in your body. And both of you, if we could all see this in a podcast, we basically took everybody's energetic score and we more than doubled it. We took predominant brainwave states into beta and alpha brain. And we took the heart rate pattern, which was a stress response, more Adrienne than Jason. And we just put that into the top 100% optimal zone. So after you guys did some AmpCoil and we saw before and afters, what's your subjective experience? How do you feel?
I mean, I feel great. It was really awesome to see the before and after and that kind of that data that you're working with such a cool user interface that just takes all of these different visualizations with the different levels. And I'm curious, like, to learn more about it, which we can, we'll get into that as we continue our friendship and get more into the details and the science of what's going on. But the user interface and the visualizations were just so powerful for me to see, because we did one session on Sunday at Luke's house. And I was definitely depleted. We had a little bit of I don't want to say a bad day on Saturday, but there was a lot of hiccups, a lot of additional tasks and things that just really drained myself and Adrienne energetically by Sunday. But we spent the last few days in a little bit of recovery mode. And then we did the reading this morning and it's like, oh my gosh, so much better. And then we did the AmpCoil. It's like, oh my gosh, super much better. And so to be able to see that really kind of puts a perspective on, the different things that we've done over the last few days and then over the last couple of hours or so, and been like, okay, yeah, like I can see where taking time for this, whether it's, getting better sleep or abstaining from the alcohol or doing an actual like session with a device, can really help to drive that data towards a better position.
Yeah. Adrienne, how do you feel?
I feel pretty great. I have to say, one thing I do like is seeing that data, seeing those quantitative measures of this is where you're starting, and here's some tools you can use, because we have so many tools. We have breath work, we have sound healing, we have all of that. And what I tried with you today was the AmpCoil and what do you call that sound?
Just a little bioresonance device.
Oh my gosh. So
Yeah.
I'm a very auditory and visual person. And so these were like tones, sounds, and songs designed to heal with sound. And it was a beautiful meditative process. So I always believe in like taking that time out and meditating a little bit. But having this added sound frequency really drove it home for me. I was able to check out, dial in, and feel what it was doing in my body. And I felt shifts. I felt a shift in my knee that I'd been having some problems with. I felt a shift in my belly that I'd been, I'm always kind of a belly focused person. I felt just layers of tension and stress melting away from my body. And then to be able to get the second scan afterward and see what a difference that made, it's like, okay, these are real tools. These are actual techniques that we can use to optimize the efficiency of our bodies and our minds. And I think that is rad.
It's really unique. I want to pivot back to Jason's scan because I met you guys. It was like an awesome, I was like, oh, these people are this is my tribe. And it's also a very busy week for me in Austin. I'm like, I'm booked on the hour to the hour, every single day. I've been here for a whole week, but I saw your scan and I was like, man, I want to make time for these guys. I was worried because you had I really was worried at the heart rate variability. It was very contracted. And then your resting heart rate was 109 and brainwave states. And I was looking at that and seeing what a stress response your body was going through. And I was like, I know I can like rock this guy's world in like an hour, 45 minutes. And you mentioned your military background, and I was in my head, I was like, is this a state that you're in? Is this a state that you trend to when you can't get good sleep or work is happening? So I'd love to hear, where do you think you live? Because you look at other things like the Whoop strap and you're a biohacker, and got all these tools. So what's your experience?
Absolutely. And the Whoop strap I've only been working with for a couple of weeks now, and I'm still kind of figuring it out. And when I used the Oura Ring before, and that was good as well. The only reason I stopped with the Oura Ring is I lost it in the desert. I didn't throw it away or anything like that. And
product pivot.
Yeah. I'm like, well, this is the calling to try a different solution and just see what that's all about. But the thing that's common between the two is that it shows me something that I innately know, is that I have no consistency in like my routine, in my sleep, in my calorie burn or my energy burn and my strain. It goes all over the place. And this is currently, it's a product of kind of the grind that we're in, moving the company forward. We've really bootstrapped this company up from our backyard in Phoenix, Arizona over the last couple of years. We've only last November gotten into a commercial facility, and we've hired up, created jobs, which have allowed us to grind on a different level. I'm no longer covered in sawdust and wood glue, like actually putting screws into wood anymore. We've got people for that now. But this is just kind of the way that we're driving this company forward right now, and I accept that. But going back to the military experience, I think the reason that I've been able to be as successful with this process as I am is because that's where I was trained to do it. That's where I was trained to really fight that forward. In fact, when I was thinking about this when I was doing the AmpCoil, and thinking about how they literally pinned medals to my chest for running myself under the ground. And I said, good job. My Specialist Stauffer worked all the way through the night, and he stayed up for 48 hours solving problems. He's a valuable asset to himself, his unit, the United States Army, and America at large. And that's just kind of that culture, is they reward you for being that kind of just drive forward, drive forward, drive forward. You'll sleep when there's time. And that is necessary in that culture. Nobody gets to go to sleep at 8 p.m. during a war, unless you get sleep where you get sleep. Yeah. And I don't regret those experiences at all, because they were formidable, and they do give me a lot of ability to drive projects forward and to complete missions, and very valuable. It allows me to do the good work that I want to do in the world. But at the same time, it's not free. There's a cost to it. And as I'm stepping more into a higher alignment, I think giving myself the space to have some more consistency and to see how can I really optimize instead of just, that martyrdom, and see and leverage the optimization of a routine of sleep, of alcohol abstinence, of, diet and things like that. How can I leverage that to drive the project forward, and not so much the drive yourself down and sacrifice to drive the project forward?
Yeah. I would love to pivot to, now that we've disclosed a little bit of biohacking, because it's just fun. I wish all interviews could be in person. We could do a little energy work before and then get on the mic and be in the pocket. But I'd love to talk about Morozko Forge and just the beauty and magic of this wonderful cold tub. Can you tell us about the system and the product a little bit? Adrienne, maybe you can offer us a little explainer.
Oh, yeah. Jason's definitely the expert in this area. He and Tom invented the world's only electric ice bath. So our forge is the only one in the entire world that makes its own ice, keeping your desired cold temperature 24/7 so that you can take advantage of this type of modality at any time of day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Our personal forge sits outside in Phoenix, Arizona sun throughout the summer and still makes ice, maintains those 32 to 33 degree temperatures.
That's a statement right there.
It is pretty fantastic. And one of the things that I love the most about it is a natural healing modality. This is cold water. This is a good stress for your body. So like a eustress that you want to put your body through in order to create resiliency. And we call it a forge because you're forging your anti-fragility. You are growing and building your resistance to temperature change. You're enacting chemicals in the brain. About 30 to 45 seconds in, you get a dump of norepinephrine and dopamine. Those effects can last for hours, sometimes days. And then when you're developing this as a regular practice, you're changing your brain. You're reducing depression and anxiety. You're reducing inflammation and chronic pain. You're jump-starting all of your systems. You're giving a workout to your vascular system. You're jump-starting your metabolism. And I believe that one of the ways that the cold has helped me is instead of my body fighting against itself for autoimmune, I gave it something external to fight. It was almost like my immune system was like, oh my gosh, you do nothing. I'm so bored. I'm going to start attacking you because I'm so bored. Now I introduce this extreme deliberate cold exposure, taking ice baths daily at 32, 33 degrees for anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. And my body is like, whoa, I have something else to focus on. And it's completely changed my life. Talk about a pivot. 3.5 years ago when I started this practice, I had 3 autoimmune conditions. I was 50 pounds overweight. I was on more than 20 prescription medications per day and 2 live antibody shots a month. So now I sit before you today. I have lost the weight. I still experience pain and inflammation, but nowhere to that extreme. And I've eliminated every single medication, even though I had specialists telling me, if you don't take this, you're going to die. Freddie, do I look alive to you?
She's very alive, very vibrant, very full of energy. And again, looking at your brainwave states, the autonomic nervous system is definitely functioning in a beautiful way to allow your body to be in a state of healing. I think people sometimes forget that the body heals, that the cold therapy makes space for the body to just do what it does. Jason, I'd love to hear, what are you most proud about of the design of this system?
Definitely the temperature range, I think, is really something that sets us apart. The fact that it does get down to freezing temperatures, not just to get to those temperatures, but when we first built the first couple of prototypes, we initially weren't getting down to that cold. We were getting into the high 30s, the low 40s, and what I missed the ice. Like, I was taking regular cold bath, pretty cold, but I just missed the presence of the ice. There's a different visceral experience with, a thick layer of ice at the top. It's a sound thing, especially because the tubs are metal, and so you get this clanking in it, and then it almost feels like a security blanket over you, and you kind of like sink down, and now you're under something. Where if you're just in cold water, I really was missing that. I was thinking earlier in the days, there's a recording of me somewhere saying that I missed the ice, and I was thinking, what could I do? Could I get like acrylic rocks that float, or something, just to like some fake ice or something, just to get that sound, that crunch, yes, that feeling of the weight on top. And as we drove the design forward from those earlier proof of concept prototypes, and we started making ice, like this is making ice. This is making sheets of ice along the bottom that we can float to the top and break up, and we can build these ice layers. And I've got my ice back. And so that was really amazing. And then when we innovated the ozone disinfection system, I think that was also really powerful. We looked at ozone, and we also looked at UV light. And we went with the ozone. We felt that it had a better power to disinfect at those cold temperatures, and the UV light tubes were a little more fragile because it is like a glass tube that you're going through. And so we went with the ozone and really found that, and we had to dial in the design because these ozone generators obviously aren't designed for the application that we were using them for. So we kind of played with the positioning and the disinfection run. And so dialing that in so that the water is crystal clear, it's pure, and there are no lingering chemicals inside, because ozone has a very short half-life, and as soon as the gas dissipates, it flows through the water, it pops up to the environment, and then it's gone. So there's nothing lingering in the water. And so I think that's something that we're really proud of, and we're really proud that we were able to dial the system in so there's no need for any additional hydrogen peroxide, or you don't need to put like a dropper of chlorine in it or anything like that, any clarifier. It just does it all on its own.
Yeah, the very interestingly enough, we're working with obviously Tesla invented this modern coil to generate energy. Tesla also heavy-handed in the ozone machine, and that O3 particle, that charged particle, which usually it can go through a tube and add energy, and then you have 3 molecules of oxygen combined. And when it hits the bacteria, mold, or viruses, that actually splits off. You get that 2-prong effect of higher oxygenation in the water, and then we get that neutralizing effect. And really, there's no, from my understanding, working with ozone for quite a long time, there's not a negative to it. I would be interested to see. I would imagine there's benefits to doing the ice bath in the ozonated water.
There could be. Like I said, it doesn't hang out for very long. And so how ozonated the water actually remains, I would be interested to test. We've gotten some ozone readings. Like you have to get like right next to it because again, as soon as those bubbles float through that water and pop up to the environment, like they're gone. Like, you know. So it would be interesting to kind of try to see if there's a way to quantify or even take some qualitative measurements of that. Yeah.
Hi, friends. I hope you're loving the show. Let's take a quick break to hear a word from our sponsors. One of the consistent biohacks in my home is red light therapy, or photobiomodulation, if you want to sound fancy at a dinner party. Now, red lights have been clinically shown to help with a plethora of health benefits, including increased energy, better circulation, increased testosterone production, workout recovery, hair growth, and even help with fine lines and wrinkles on your skin. There are even multiple studies showing benefits with Alzheimer's patients. Personally, this is something I recommend for most of my clients to have in their home for its incredible benefits and relatively low cost. Now, from my research, LightPath LED continues to innovate their designs, and they include multiple wave panels and pulsing. With this initial research showing a greater depth of penetration and benefit to mitochondrial health, which, if you're a fan of the podcast, you know this is the moving target when it comes to wellness. Mind the mitochondria. So, check out lightpathled.com and use code BEAUTIFULLYBROKEN, all lowercase, for a 10% discount in the checkout. The inventor and founder, Scott Kennedy, is a true gem of a human being and stands behind every light that he sells. This is a Beautifully Broken podcast, stamp of approval, 5 stars. Now let's get back to the show. Jason, what's changed in your life from incorporating cold therapy? Why the run to this modality?
A lot of the changes I think have been emotional and psychological. From my combat veteran experience, I discovered that I have a hyper awareness where I tend to be constantly scanning my environment around me. And it's a massive cognitive load to be always taking stock of everything around you, And I think that's pretty common in the veteran experience. Again, that goes into the training and the experience, especially, soldiers and Marines who have deployed on the ground. You're always constantly aware, always scanning. And when I get into the ice, it just super focuses.
Yeah.
And even though that hyper awareness is constantly scanning, it's different because now it's not that I'm not aware of the environment, but I guess it takes away the constantly assessing. And it's more of a mindfulness where everything is drawn into focus, but it's just different. And just being able to be in that state for 2 to 5 minutes and to reduce that cognitive load, then my brain can be like, okay, what else can we work on now that we have that energy back? Now that free up some bandwidth to just be in that state, to reduce that stress, to reduce that anxiety. A lot of it's stress and anxiety I really didn't even know that I had, because until you take the thorn out of the side, you can forget that the thorn is there. And that's been really powerful for me. And one of the benefits, it's hard to get a view into, it's hard to quantify, it's hard to look at. But one of the benefits that I believe of the practice, and I'll have to wait, another 40, 50 years until I'm older to really be able to feel or be able to tell if this has been working the way that I think it is the improvement to the vascular system. So the vasomotor constrictive response and the vein health and the vascular health, which, as in an industrialized society, a lot of us who live our lives in very climate controlled environments, going from air conditioner to air conditioner to air conditioner to air conditioner, and can live almost our entire lives in this like 70 to 80 degree temperature range. When we get older, we see a lot of vascular issues, especially in the hands and the feet, which are the furthest points away from the heart, which is where our circulation tends to be the poorest, or the, by that point, it's getting drawn back into the heart. So we see a lot of poor vein health in senior citizens and the aged population. This leads to a very debilitating disease state called chronic venous insufficiency. In its infancy, that state, you'll go to long-term care facilities and see a lot of seniors who are very cold. They have very cold hands, very cold feet, and they're uncomfortable. That's like the initial stage. If it progresses from there, they will develop a condition called digital ulceritis, which ulcers will actually develop on the fingers and the toes. And what this is the vascular system is failing. It's one of the systems that fails us first towards the end of our physical life. And so the heart is no longer able to supply enough blood to that tissue to keep it alive. So it starts to necrotize. And as soon as a senior develops these ulcers, it's a massive drop in quality of life. They can no longer walk if it's on the feet. They can no longer dress themselves. You can't do buttons with ulcers on your fingers. You can't hold a spoon. You can't hold a fork. And so now you're in this position where somebody's feeding you, somebody's clothing you, somebody is taking you from point A to point B. And then past that, you can even get into amputations. You can have seniors who have fingers, hands, feet, toes amputated. And this is the way that a lot of our species is spending the last few years of their life, their physical life. And my hope is that, and there's a lot of support for this, is that by doing this therapy, as I get towards the end of my physical life, which we all have to end our physical life, the quality will be better because I will have staved off these kind of debilitating vascular conditions.
It's so eloquently put. I totally, from my work on and understanding about this, our circulatory system, there is definitely the scientific theory that the heart is driving all our blood through the body. And then there's other people who have identified different little nanomotors and pumps along the vascular system that also can be compromised. So it's really fascinating to think of it moving systemically, and then you found yourself in a real problem. Where do you guys think this would be? If you had a magic wand to wave, where would you put something like this first, and what sort of population or what center?
That's a really good question because I think about access a lot. The machines, they're a little bit pricey. We're an Arizona-based manufacturing company. Our products are made in Phoenix, Arizona. They're not mass manufactured overseas for very low wages and then, shipped over in shipping containers. I think there's probably still less than 200 of them in existence over, we've been in the market for a couple of years now. And so I really think the ice bath as a business model, as a salon, as a studio, as something that a person can go in if they don't have the financial means to put one in their backyard, or maybe they don't have the space. So much of our species is now in high-rise condos and apartments in urban centers. And so if you just don't have the space for it, I want there to be a place where people can go, where they can have access to this for $20 a session or, $200 a month membership or whatever it is, just to get it out there so that it's not so much of a affluent backyard therapy. I think about that a lot because, again, a lot of the people who need this the most, a lot of the people who are healing conditions, they're not optimizing. So many of us are optimizing, and that's great. I love it. But so many of our species actually is afflicted. Like they have disease states that this can help with. We've seen, just like Adrienne healed and reversed her autoimmune, we have support that this therapy can reverse type 2 diabetes. That this therapy, again, can improve the vascular system from these humans who are living their entire lives in these comfortable cages, in these high rises, and in these, now a lot of it's probably home offices because everybody's worked from home who can be, but you're still sitting in that space. And so I really love the idea of the business model, the cold therapy as a business model, which we were starting to get a lot of inquiries before the COVID hysteria hit. But then as people's businesses got shut down, investors and people who were exploring those salons got a little skittish because for whatever reason, we closed gyms, we closed wellness centers, which doesn't make sense to me. But that's the way things have gone. And now that things are starting to open back up again, we're getting those inquiries again of those entrepreneurial minded people who want to offer this as a service. And so if I waved a magic wand, there would be a salon, a center in every major metropolitan area in the country and even some of the minor ones, just so that more people could do it. More people can do it.
Magic wand, Adrienne, where would you put the ice bath?
I would put it in recovery centers for substance abuse. I would put it in mental health centers for PTSD, complex PTSD, and healing of trauma. I would put it in every single cancer center of America because I think that in some ways I'm starting to see them using like essential oils and meditation and yoga. This is another natural healing modality that I think can help for our diseased states. I would also put it in every single strip mall, the same way that you can go find a McDonald's on every corner. I would much rather find an ice bath on every corner that I had access to. Like Jason said, they closed all the gyms and the health centers, but every McDonald's and In-N-Out has been open. Yeah. And this doesn't make any sense to me. There should be lines around the block for people for healing modalities, not for ways to continuously dig our graves. So I think I would also like to see the education about it being more talked about and more marketed, because a lot of people don't understand, many people don't understand that this is a healing modality. This isn't just about, oh my gosh, that's scary, it's cold. This can change your life. And I like to tell people that any amount of cold is a good amount of cold. We're not a fan of cold showers at Morozko Forge. We would much rather sit calmly in 33-degree water than be pelted with 60-degree water in a localized area. So if all you get is a cold shower, more power to you. But any amount of cold is a good amount of cold. And even if you only ever do one ice bath in your entire life, it's going to change you. It's going to change you not only as a person, but on like a physiological level. Yeah. And so I want them to be readily available. I want to see them everywhere. I want everyone to have access. And ultimate dream goal, FDA approved medical device, because people need these for healing. We work with people with multiple sclerosis. We've got a Navy SEAL as a customer, and a retired Navy SEAL, medically retired Navy SEAL as a customer. And we're seeing emotional resilience like never before. We're seeing trauma healing like never before. And these are the types of healing modalities that I think ought to be available to everyone. Everyone, kids, adults. You're not too young. You're not too old. Give it a try. A little bit of cold. That's all it'll take.
I love that. I couldn't agree more. And I think you're right, spot on with the community center. Everybody doesn't need one of these in your home. I think it's more about the community, the experience, being around, over at Luke's house and having us all be in the cold plunge, and having Adrienne has this incredible superpower of talking people into the cold and prepping mindset. So it's almost a spiritual experience with a singing bowl. And we were burning, what were we burning?
Palo Santo.
Palo Santo. I always want to say Sano Palo. and it was incredible, but there was community building there, that is like the new model for a backyard summer barbecue.
Absolutely.
As opposed to just, getting drunk and stupefied and eating hot dogs and having shitty conversation. I think that what I would love for people to experience in the audience is just, when you make these lifestyle choices, it's very possible that the quality of life increases so much that everything's more awesome. I'm often like singing in a grocery store. This morning I was singing coffee and Whole Foods and waiting for my cup, and this guy's like, "Are you singing?" I'm like, "I am." I am excited. I'm excited for the day. I'm like got rad stuff out of me.
Like a bird chirping in the morning.
Yeah.
The sun came up today. I'm going to sing about it.
Yeah, it's all rad.
Something else that I think about is, and this is going back to how many people were now sent to work from home through this whole event, is to have that community center in the middle of a neighborhood or in next to a high-rise condo. Everybody's office is now in their home, but if they can, instead of going to the office and then stopping at the gym on the way home, now they're in the home office. If they can get out from that and go into that community center for an hour or two at the end of the day, just to break from that new model of live work inside the domicile, I think is going to be a really powerful and important business model in the future. Because I feel like no matter what happens, 100% of us get vaccinated, the whole thing goes away. But so many business models have figured out that they don't have to hold the office space anymore. So many companies have figured out, like, I don't need to spend $15,000 a month on a 5,000 square foot commercial office facility. Everybody's got space at home. Everybody can just stay at home. And a lot of that's never going to come back. And that's okay. I think there's a lot of benefit to reduction of that commercial office space and to like disperse things out in a work from home culture. But people are going to also need to have a garden to go to. to have a place to go to where they can, look at a tree and meditate and get in a cold plunge and have community with people who also come in from those buildings and kind of spend that time on a daily basis there.
Let's talk about community building. So you guys are based in Phoenix, Arizona. What have you done to build community in your local municipality around the ice bath, and how does that work?
One of the things that we did starting right away when lockdown started hitting, and in Phoenix it was St. Patrick's Day. It was March 17th, 2020, when some real big lockdowns started. Is we started in our backyard in Phoenix, Arizona. We started doing social Sundays, like right away. Boom. Just held that community space, invited people over. Everybody was welcome. We have a pretty decently sized backyard. We had a forge. And through the really intense lockdown phases, it was like having Thanksgiving every Sunday, because it was potluck. We would cook some things, but people would bring dishes. And we'd have this big spread of food and this 20, 30 people. We did like an open mic night.
Oh, wow.
We started introducing people to the cold. It was getting into the summertime. We had the swimming pool back then. And so right away, we were just like, we felt the potential for that loss of in-person connection that was coming in. And so we just started doing that, like bam, 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 every Sunday. And then in looking for our commercial facility to move production, because production ended up taking over our backyard completely to the point where we really had to stop doing social Sundays. But by this point, like things are starting to open back up in Phoenix. Yeah. We're like, okay, everything's a work table. Everything is a little bit dangerous to the little kids now. Now we got to like put a pause on that. And then looking for the commercial facility, it was very important for us that it wasn't just a warehouse to build ice baths in, that it had a space for it. It had a space for our contrast spa where we got an IR sauna and a forge in there, a little bit of a meditation room. It's got a little bit of an administrative office, but there's a big room that we just call the classroom that is like our multi-purpose room. And this was very important for us that we held some space for this. And we've run some yoga classes out of there, children's yoga. We've done some chakral toning and voice classes. We've done some talks, some drum circles, some men's circles, some workshops, and holding that space to just run that programming, and especially inviting other healers and other people who have things to offer in, because those spaces are also in response to the hysteria, those started going away as well, where, if you're a yoga instructor and things are starting to come back online and you don't own the space and you're talking to the owner of the space is going to be like, okay, I'll let you hold your yoga class. It's got to be masked. It's got to be distance, which means it's got to be like at 20% capacity, no kids, things like that.
Yeah.
And then with the schools being closed, children weren't interacting with each other. So bringing kids in during like the kids yoga class, and we've got a little play space set up, and some of our crew are parents, and so being able to bring their children in and their children interact with each other, that was all just very important for us. We didn't want just a big open warehouse, which we probably could have used that extra 1,000 square feet, but holding that space to be able to run that type of programming was very important for us.
Yeah, I think that's so key. It's to have an ice bath, or to do an ice bath, or do an AmpCoil, or to do a breath work by yourself in an apartment in a lonely corner. I don't get a lot from it. I get so much more when it's in community and you're sharing that experience. And even it's the same thing as me placing a coil on your body and selecting your journey and like letting you lay down, as you ushering someone into the cold and talking them through the experience. It just, the quality of life, you can't put a value on that for me. And so I celebrate what you guys are doing. It's really, really incredible. I hope everybody can get out and find a place to experience the Morozko Forge. I know I have one next to me in Ridgefield, Connecticut. I think it's HealthCo X. I was trying to cheat and look up in the middle. I was like, I got to plug HealthCo X, but they're in Ridgefield, Connecticut. Where are some other places that some big cities people might be able to check it out?
So there's one in Pasadena right now in Spacebar Wellness. There's also a Los Angeles facility that is still being put together. Revival. It's RVIVL. there is one in Midland, Texas, which is, Source Float Well, which is amazing. We went and visited them, and they're like missionaries. What's the name of the couple? The facilitators. Oh gosh, I can't remember the name off the top of that. They're the raddest people, but here's this like little town it's Kinsey and something, this little town in Dusty West, Texas.
Yeah.
Right. It's a small to mid-sized city, and, pretty out there in the middle of Texas, pretty oil, pretty, trucks with, steer horns on the front of them. If you get that vibe, right?
Yeah.
And here's this little house that's got like the sauna and the forge, and there's pictures of Buddha everywhere and meditation spaces and little slogans. And here's this couple running this facility and doing well with it. But they almost seem like they're missionaries, because they're a little bit like they don't quite fit the vibe, but they're there to do the work. And I freaking love that.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
And then there's the facility in Connecticut.
Yep.
There's one or two in Utah. There's one in Park City, Utah. Yin Wellness. There is Cell Regen in Bend, Oregon, which is amazing. Hood River, Oregon. An amazing facility. Dr. Brian Call, he's a chiropractor. He's got, the forge. He's also got the PEMF bed. He's got some light therapy. He's got a hyperbaric chamber. Doing great work out there. I swear there's a couple others. If I knew this question was coming, I would.
No, it's good. I just want to give people a scope and an idea. And then where can people check out the website and product and just kind of read more and get engaged?
Absolutely. So the website is morozkoforge.com. That's morozkoforge.com. And then Instagram is great to check us out. That's at Morozko Forge, same spelling, morozkoforge.com. We're giggling here because we just had a conversation about the next time I start a company, it's going to have a shorter, easier name. But
yes. Don't rebrand now.
No, not at all. No, I love the branding. I love it.
It's great. It's a great product. You guys are wonderful. I'm so glad we got to do this
Thank you
person.
so much.
What a special experience.
Thank you, Freddie. It's been a pleasure meeting you and experiencing some of these modalities that you've introduced us to. And I also appreciate that immediate tribe connection. Like, when you find your people, and it just, it reinforces why we're doing what we're doing. And I appreciate that. I appreciate you inviting us on today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. We'll do more. We all have to. You guys have life to get to. I have a marketing meeting to get to. Life's gonna get really fast here in a second. But you guys are an amazing power couple, and I'm going to let Jason say one more thing.
Oh gosh, how did I forget this? There's 3 in Phoenix, Arizona. I mean,
my goodness. There you go,
there's our contrast spa, which you can always, if you're in the area, you can always reach out to us, and we do offer drop-in sessions. Optimize is in Phoenix as well, and they're opening a second location in Tempe, Arizona. Reconnect, which is in Mesa, Arizona. Jeremy Mudick is a great friend, and there is a place in Gilbert. It's a high-performance athletic facility. Again, I should have researched this. I thought I knew the question was coming. Yeah,
that's okay. Well, one of my best buddies is in Mesa, Phoenix, so I'm definitely going to send him over your way. And he's a fitness guru, my buddy Adam, and I think he'll do really well. He had a crazy 3rd-degree burn over like a third of his body, so he's got a lot of scar tissue and some neuropathy. But I think that would be an awesome Adam. I'm sending you to go do a cold plunge. He's a workhorse.
I love it.
Yeah, so it's gonna be, that'll be fun. I'll be able to test that out, and we'll do another one. We'll talk more, and I'll see you guys at shows and events this year. And for anybody that wants to explore this modality in your life, I implore you to look at cold therapy. The research is incredible. It's undeniable. This is better, as we said before. This would be a better investment in your time than the McDonald's and strip clubs that stayed open for the past year. Maybe try out some cold therapy. Just entertain that idea. Maybe I'll flip things on your head for you. Although I know everybody who listens to this, you're laughing anyway. That's it for now. This is a Beautifully Broken podcast. Guys, thank you for being my guest. Namaste.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Does anybody think that these health upgrades sound expensive? They can be an investment, but after truly learning how money works, The inflationary nature of our fiat currency, combined with the fact that big banks charged, are you ready for this, $34 billion to the poorest members of society. I knew I was ready for a shift. In my opinion, money is energy. And I've seen too many scenarios which compromised health is attached to financial distress. The energy is not flowing. And to break that cycle, it's going to take a new level of thinking to come up with a different result. Enter Celsius Network. This is my bank that's not a bank. Celsius is a place to store cryptocurrency safely and get an incredible return on your stored wealth. They share up to 80% of the revenue with the users, not the board of trustees, so you can earn up to 17.78% APY distributed weekly. I'd like to see a bank beat that. So what does that look like? Every Monday, I get a direct deposit of the money I've earned as a reward for joining the community on my beautifully designed app with this high-end customer interface. I've made over $2,600 by joining Celsius in just over 9 months. I've never made that in the history of time through my old, air quote, big bank. So they have 0% in withdrawal fees. Over 500,000 users and $10 billion in assets that are insured. And you can also use your crypto or borrow dollars or stable coins with loans starting at just 1%. That's correct. You can borrow from yourself and keep your own money and pay it back over the next 6 months to a year. Say it with me, financial freedom is back on the market. So check out the link in the show notes to join Celsius. I've got a special offer to earn $30 in stable coins by joining the community. Please don't take this as financial advice, and everything I offer is an opportunity to do your own research and make the best choice for your abundance. Let the green energy flow so you can do more good in the world. My friends, you made it to the end of the podcast, and here we are in season 3. I think our relationship is developing into something really special. So there are 2 ways to support this show. The first is by joining my membership program at buymeacoffee.com/FreddieSetGo. Here you'll get early access to all the podcasts, bonus episodes, video clips, discounted coaching, and free webinars with thought leaders in the wellness and transformational technology industry. It's a chance to take your listening experience and put it into action. The second way is to support the podcast through FreddieSetGo.com and download the Beautifully Broken Buyer's Guide. This is my new ebook, which is a collection of transformational technology, supplements, and courses that have worked for me, my clients, and my family. These are things that I've found to be incredibly helpful in my healing journey, and I put them all in one book. Most of them offer significant discounts just by clicking the link or using the discount code. And please know they don't cost you anything extra. And at the same time, they support the podcast through affiliations. My heart thanks you for tuning in. I'm so glad you're here with us. If you've enjoyed today's show, head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star review. And if you want to connect with me directly, I'm on Instagram at FreddieSetGo or buymeacoffee.com/FreddieSetGo. Last message from my vast team of lawyers that I pay a lot of money for. The information on this podcast is for educational purposes only. By listening, you agree not to use the information found here as medical advice to treat any medical condition in yourself, your family members, or others. Always consult your own physician for any medical issues that you may be having challenges with. That's it for today. Our closing: the world is changing. We need you at your very best. So take the steps today to always be upgrading. Remember, while life is pain, putting the fractured pieces back together is a beautiful process. I love you. I'm your host, Freddie Kimmel. Namaste.
These days, work is in trouble. We've outsourced most of our manufacturing to other countries. And with that, we sent away good jobs and our capability to make things. American Giant is a clothing company that's pushing back against this tide. They make all kinds of high-quality clothing and activewear, like sweatshirts, jeans, dresses, jackets, and so much more, right here in the USA. So when you buy American Giant, you create jobs in towns and cities across the country. And jobs bring pride, purpose. They stitch people together. If all that sounds good to you, visit American-Giant.com and get 20% off your first order when you use code STAPLE20 at checkout. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com with promo code STAPLE20.
Now's the time for a great deal on a new Honda. It's time to drive smarter with high-tech features and excellent reliability. Check out the Honda Civic, Accord, or HR-V. For a limited time, well-qualified buyers can get a 4.99% APR on a 2025 Civic or a 3.99% APR on a 2025 Accord or HR-V.
See dealer for financing details. Exclude Civic Si and Type R.
Finally, the solution to your weight management woes has arrived. Henry Meds offers access to compounded GLP-1 medications from the comfort of your home. The healthcare providers at Henry Meds make access to weight management treatments fast, easy, and affordable.
After starting this journey on compounded semaglutide from Henry Meds, I'm down 85 pounds. This journey has been life-changing.
Go to henrymeds.com/Pandora to start your weight management journey today. That's henrymeds.com/Pandora. Results may vary. Not all patients are eligible. Compounded medications are not FDA approved. Consult a healthcare provider to determine if treatment is right for you.